You've probably skipped breakfast before. Maybe you were in a rush, trying to lose weight, or just didn't feel hungry. It seems harmless, right? But what if I told you your brain feels it almost immediately, and not in a good way? What if that empty stomach is doing more than making you a little grumpy? It is actually affecting how you think, feel, and function? In today's video, we're diving into what really happens to your brain when you skip breakfast. Trust me, it's more than just a little brain fog. From your mood and memory to your ability to concentrate and make decisions, missing that morning meal has a ripple effect you might not even notice until it becomes your new normal. We'll explore the science behind why your brain needs fuel first thing in the morning, what happens when it doesn't get it, and how skipping breakfast could even affect your mental health over time. Whether you're someone who skips breakfast regularly or just grabs coffee and calls it good, this is something you need to hear. So grab a seat and let us talk about how one small choice each morning can have a much bigger impact on your brain than you think. If you want sharper focus, better mood, and long-term brain health, it might be time to rethink what you do or don't do after waking up. Let's get into it. It might seem like a harmless habit. You wake up late, rush out the door, and tell yourself you'll grab something later. Or maybe you skip breakfast on purpose, thinking it will help with weight loss or productivity. It's easy to believe that skipping one meal, especially breakfast, won't really make a difference. But the truth is, your brain notices. In fact, skipping breakfast can set off a surprising chain reaction in your body, especially in your mind. Over time, those missed meals can begin to shape the way you think, feel, and function more than you may realize. Let's start with the basics. Your brain is always on. Even while you sleep, it's hard at work processing memories, regulating hormones, and preparing you for the next day. That constant activity requires energy, and the primary source of fuel for your brain is glucose. After a night of fasting, your blood sugar levels are already low when you wake up. Breakfast helps restore those levels and provides the brain with a steady supply of nutrients to function properly. When you skip it, you're essentially asking your brain to run on empty. The immediate effects can be subtle but real. You may find it harder to concentrate during morning tasks. Your memory might feel a little foggy. You may get irritated more easily or feel unmotivated, without really understanding why. This is your brain struggling to do its job without the fuel it needs. Think of it like trying to drive a car with the gas light on. It can still move, but not efficiently and not for long. Skipping breakfast also affects your mood in more ways than one. When your brain lacks glucose, it sends distress signals that can trigger the release of stress hormones like cortisol. This can leave you feeling anxious or edgy for no apparent reason. Over time, regularly skipping breakfast can contribute to chronic stress and even symptoms of depression. Your emotional resilience shrinks, making it harder to cope with everyday challenges. You may become more reactive, less patient, and more prone to mood swings. Another surprising consequence is how your brain handles decision-making. When you're hungry, your brain becomes more impulsive. Studies show that people who skip breakfast tend to make riskier choices and have a harder time delaying gratification. This can affect everything from your food choices later in the day to how you manage time, money, or even relationships. Hunger clouds your judgment, and you might not even realize it's happening. Memory and learning are also at risk. One of the brain regions most affected by a lack of nutrients is the hippocampus, which plays a key role in memory formation and learning new information. This is especially critical for children and teenagers whose brains are still developing. Numerous studies have shown that students who eat breakfast perform better on tests and have improved attention spans in class. But this isn't just about young people. Adults experience similar benefits if your work requires focus, creativity, or critical thinking. Breakfast can be the difference between a sharp mind and a sluggish start. Then there's the impact on your long-term brain health. Emerging research suggests that chronically skipping breakfast could contribute to cognitive decline later in life. It's not just about feeling tired or unfocused now. Over years and decades, depriving your brain of consistent nourishment may increase your risk of memory loss, cognitive impairment, and neurodegenerative conditions. Your brain is a living organ, and just like your heart or lungs, it needs daily support to stay strong. Skipping breakfast also affects your gut, which in turn affects your brain. The gut and brain are closely connected through what's known as the gut-brain axis. When you don't eat in the morning, it can disrupt the balance of good bacteria in your digestive system. That imbalance can lead to inflammation, poor digestion, and even altered neurotransmitter production. Since many brain chemicals like serotonin are made in the gut, this disruption can have real consequences on how you feel emotionally and mentally. You might also notice cravings hit harder when you skip breakfast. That's because your brain is trying to catch up on the fuel it missed earlier. It may push you towards sugary or high-calorie foods later in the day. This can lead to energy crashes, mood dips, and a cycle of poor eating habits. Ironically, people who skip breakfast often end up consuming more calories overall, not less, because their brain is desperately trying to get what it needs to function properly. Sleep can also be affected. Skipping breakfast can throw off your body's natural rhythms, including your sleep-wake cycle. When your circadian rhythm is disrupted, your sleep quality suffers. You might have trouble falling asleep, wake up in the middle of the night, or feel groggy the next morning. This creates a ripple effect where lack of sleep further impairs cognitive function, worsens mood, and increases cravings, creating a loop that's hard to break. But here's the good news. The effects of skipping breakfast are not permanent. Your brain is resilient. Once you start feeding it regularly in the morning, many of the negative symptoms begin to reverse. Your mood stabilizes, your focus sharpens, you feel more balanced, less reactive, and better able to handle stress. Your memory improves, you start making clearer decisions, and your energy lasts longer throughout the day. You don't need a massive meal to reap these benefits. A balanced breakfast with protein, healthy fats, and complex carbohydrates can do wonders. Think a boiled egg and some whole grain toast, a bowl of oatmeal with nuts and fruit, a smoothie with yogurt, spinach, and a banana. The goal is to give your brain the nutrients it needs to wake up and function at its best. Even something small is better than nothing. Of course, there are people who follow intermittent fasting or skip breakfast intentionally for other health reasons. If it works for your body and your mind, and you're under medical guidance, that's different. But for most people, skipping breakfast isn't a mindful choice. It's just a habit formed out of busyness, stress, or misinformation. And for those people, the costs to the brain are real and avoidable. There's something powerful about creating a morning ritual that includes breakfast. It sets the tone for your entire day. It sends a message to your body and your brain that you care. You're taking the time to fuel yourself, to be present, to show up fully. It's not just a meal, it's a moment of self-respect, a form of self-care that pays off in focus, clarity, and emotional steadiness. In a world that moves fast and demands more and more from our minds, breakfast is one of the simplest ways to give something back. It's not about perfection. It's not about eating like a nutritionist or following the latest health trend. It's about asking your brain what it needs to function well, and then actually listening. A few minutes in the morning can save you hours of stress, distraction, and fatigue later on. So tomorrow morning, before the chaos begins, take a moment.
Nice.
Make something nourishing. Sit down, even for just 5 minutes. Eat slowly. Breathe. Let your brain wake up with the fuel it deserves. Over time, you may be surprised at how much more clearly you think, how much more calmly you react, and how much more energy you bring to the day ahead. Because when you feed your brain first, everything else starts to fall into place. So now you know, skipping breakfast isn't just about missing a meal. It's about depriving your brain of the fuel it needs to think clearly, stay focused, and regulate your mood. What might feel like just a few hours without food can quietly set the stage for brain fog, stress, poor decision-making, and even long-term effects on memory and emotional health. Your brain is a powerhouse that runs 24/7, and it depends on that first meal of the day to get going strong. The good news is, it's never too late to make a change. Starting tomorrow, you have the chance to show up for your brain in the best way possible with a simple, balanced breakfast. It doesn't have to be fancy. Even something small like eggs, fruit, oatmeal, or yogurt can make a huge difference. And if you've been skipping breakfast for years, you might be surprised how quickly you feel the benefits once you start fueling your brain right. Thank you for watching and taking the time to learn more about your brain and your health. If this video helped you see your morning routine in a new light, give it a like, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe for more practical health tips that make a real difference. Remember, your brain is doing a lot for you every day. That first meal is your way of saying thank you. Till next time, take care of yourself and don't skip breakfast. Your brain will thank you.